Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're exploring what might just be the ultimate productivity hack for modern professionals. You know, we live in this era where literally everyone is obsessed with working harder, running faster, and consuming more and more data. But what if the secret to building a massive business or just achieving true success isn't about packing more stuff into your brain, but actually taking it all out? Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating concept from top business coach Beshesh Gala. He argues that managing your mind, and specifically emptying it entirely, is the absolute foundation of high-level success.
Okay, let's dive into this. Gala proposes this brilliant, kind of brutal cold open test. He asks struggling entrepreneurs to hand over their mobile phones and just sit in front of him, in absolute silence, for 2 hours. And you know what? Most of them can't even sit for a fraction of that time. They start panicking, they're convinced their company's going to sink without them, or they're just desperately craving that constant dopamine hit of getting attention and solving problems. This total inability to just sit quietly proves one major thing. Their minds are an absolute chaotic storm. If you've built a business that entirely relies on you remembering every single detail, well, you haven't really built a company. You've built a highly stressful hobby.
Section 1. The Overwhelmed Mind Trap.
So when your mind is just cluttered with constant noise, and you're treating your brain like a cheap USB storage drive rather than a high-end processor, you fall into what Gala calls the Ramu-Kaka syndrome. Now, in many Indian households, a Ramu-Kaka is that one super reliable helper who manually does all the running around, right? Just constantly reacting to whoever shouts from next. In your business, if you don't have systems in place to offload your memory, guess what? You become the Ramu-Kaka of your own company. You're handling every customer call, you're approving every tiny quote, and you're trying to remember every single detail. You just end up completely exhausted, playing small, and acting out of constant, frantic reaction, rather than being the visionary leader your business actually needs.
Section 2. The Empty Brain Theory. So, the crucial point is, how do we fix this overwhelm? It really comes down to a fundamental paradigm shift derived directly from the 1,000 Crore Entrepreneur Club. Gala gives us this golden rule. The rule of success is, keep your brain empty. If we have to remember things on our brain, we have failed. I want you to really let that sink in for a second. The most successful people out there flat out refuse to use their brains for storage. Your brain is a supercomputer, right? It's meant for processing, for observing, for innovating. It is definitely not a dusty old filing cabinet meant for storing trivial day-to-day data. Just look at this side-by-side comparison. On one side, we've got the chaotic, stagnant, full brain. It's so busy holding on to grudges, remembering to grab milk and groceries on the way home, and tracking exactly what time tomorrow's meeting is. It's totally exhausted. On the other side, we have the empty brain. Because it isn't bogged down by all those trivialities, it suddenly has the actual bandwidth to spot a massive 1,000 crore gap in the market. It can innovate, it can strategize, and most importantly, it remains entirely calm under pressure. The stakes here are incredibly high, folks. Holding on to all that mental clutter is literally costing you millions in missed ideas.
Section 3. Your Digital Memory Toolkit.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we actually defeat that villain of forgetfulness and mental clutter. If you want to transition from a full brain to an empty one, you need systems. And the best part? You don't need some complex, crazy enterprise software to get started. Look at these practical, everyday tools. Need to remember your meeting Ranveer tomorrow? Don't hold it in your head. Drop it into your mobile calendar immediately. Wife asked you to pick up Ferrero Rocher chocolates? Straight into the to-do list app. Told a team member to order green tea for a guest? Boom, put it in Google Keep or a shared register. The real magic, the discipline here, is in the immediate transfer of the thought from your brain directly into the system.
Let's move to and see how this builds into an immense sense of relief. Seriously, think about it. When you tell your employee about that green tea order and they immediately write it down in Google Keep, what actually happens? Well, they know they have to check it and act on it. But more importantly for you, you are totally unburdened. You're free. You literally never have to think about that cup of green tea ever again until it arrives right on your desk. This simple, everyday act of writing it down and completely trusting your system is the absolute core of the empty brain theory.
Section 4. Spotting Golden Opportunities.
All right, let's talk about the ultimate payoff. What kind of magic actually happens when your brain is finally empty and ready to do what it was designed to do? When you finally clear out the mental groceries, the upcoming meetings, and those past arguments playing on a loop, you create an empty vessel. And it's only in this empty vessel that genius ideas can naturally surface. When your mind isn't distracted, you can finally observe true market trends. You can step back, look at your business objectively, and pinpoint critical failure points or spot those massive 1,000 crore opportunities. Gala noted that when you sit with truly elite entrepreneurs, they aren't chatting about daily chores. No way.
Their minds are laser-focused on asking, where's the next big opportunity? And what is the one thing that could destroy my business? You can only ask those high-level questions when the noise is finally gone.
Section 5. Achieving the yogi state.
And this brilliantly illustrates that there's actually a level way beyond just spotting business opportunities. This is where modern digital productivity actually bridges over into ancient spiritual calmness. This brings us to the ultimate peak of the empty brain theory, achieving what Gala calls the spiritual yogi state. It is a profound state of zero chaotic thoughts. I want you to imagine reaching a level of absolute calmness where your internal equilibrium remains entirely unshaken. Whether you're receiving extreme praise and sitting on cloud 9, or you're facing deep insults and going through a massive crisis, it doesn't matter. Your vision, your goals, and your energy remain perfectly untouched by the external noise. In business, this kind of unshakable calm isn't just nice to have, it's your greatest strategic advantage.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this really provocative thought. What million-dollar idea is currently hiding behind your mental grocery list? As long as your brain is acting like a cheap storage unit, you are actively capping your own potential. Your challenge for today is super simple. Offload your memory. Set up that calendar, write down your tasks, clear out the clutter, and let your brain get back to doing what it honestly does best, innovating. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.